Aesop Stories. Number 91. The Story of the New Servant. In a small village, a man named Mr. Allen decided to buy a new servant. This servant, named Tom, had come from a far-off land and had very dark skin. Mr. Allen had never seen such dark skin before, and mistakenly thought that Tom's skin color was due to not being cleaned properly by his previous masters. Determined to help his new servant, Mr. Allen brought Tom home and decided to clean him. He thought that with enough washing, Tom's skin would become lighter, just like his own. So he used all sorts of soaps and scrubs, scrubbing Tom's skin over and over again. Tom tried to explain to Mr. Allen, "Sir, this is my natural skin color. It's not dirt that can be washed away." But Mr. Allen did not listen. He believed he knew better and continued with the washings. Day after day, Mr. Allen made Tom undergo various cleaning routines. He tried different types of soaps and even made special mixtures he thought would work. Despite all these efforts, Tom's skin color remained the same. It was clear and beautiful just as it had always been. A rich dark hue that was a part of his heritage. As the days went by, the weather became cold and windy. With all the washing and being wet so often, Tom caught a severe cold. He started to cough and sneeze, and his health began to suffer. Seeing this, Mr. Allen finally stopped the incessant scrubbing. He realized that Tom was getting sick because of his actions. Seeing Tom's condition worsen, Mr. Allen felt guilty and worried. He called for a doctor to help treat Tom's cold. As the doctor treated Tom, he explained to Mr. Allen, "Some things are natural and cannot be changed. Tom's skin color is his own, and it's perfectly natural. No amount of washing will change it." Mr. Allen listened carefully and finally understood his mistake. He learned that skin color is something inherent and not a result of dirt or neglect. Feeling ashamed of his ignorance, Mr. Allen apologized to Tom for all the trouble he had caused. Tom, kind-hearted and forgiving, accepted Mr. Allen's apology. "Thank you, sir, for understanding," Tom said. "I'm glad we can move past this." From then on, Mr. Allen treated Tom with respect and took better care to understand his needs. Tom recovered from his cold, and they both learned to appreciate each other's differences. This experience taught Mr. Allen a valuable lesson about acceptance and understanding. He learned that what's bred in the bone will stick to the flesh, meaning that natural traits inherent to a person cannot be changed and should be respected, not altered. This lesson not only changed how he treated Tom, but also how he viewed everyone around him, promoting a sense of acceptance and kindness in the village. Number 92. The Fisherman's Lucky Day. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman named Sam who lived by the sea. Every morning, Sam would take his boat out to fish, hoping to catch enough to sell in the market. Fishing was his way of making a living, and he knew the sea and its ways very well. One sunny morning, Sam felt particularly lucky. He prepared his boat and nets and set off into the sparkling blue waters. He sailed to his favorite spot, known for the abundance of fish. With a feeling of excitement, Sam cast his large net into the water, hoping for a good catch. After a little while, he felt a strong tug on his net. It was heavier than usual, and he knew something special was happening. With effort and skill, Sam began to pull the net back towards his boat. The net was so full that it took all his strength to haul it in. As Sam pulled the net closer, he saw that it was filled with a great number of fish. They were glittering in the sunlight, flipping and flapping, trying to escape. Sam was thrilled. This was one of the best catches he had seen in a long time. However, as he examined the net, he noticed something interesting. While the net held all the large fish, the smaller ones were slipping through the meshes and swimming back into the sea. Sam tried to keep them, but it was impossible. The net was simply not made to catch the small fish. Sam watched as the little fish escaped back into the water, one by one. At first, he felt a bit disappointed that he couldn't keep them all, but as he watched the small fish swim freely, he began to smile. I guess it's their lucky day too, Sam thought. He realized that the small fish had a chance to grow bigger and stronger, maybe even to be caught another day when they were the right size. With a happy heart, Sam focused on the large fish he had caught. He knew they would sell well at the market. The fish were healthy and big, just what the people in town liked. Sam sailed back to shore, where he carefully unloaded his catch and prepared them for sale. That day, he made a good amount of money at the market. The townspeople were pleased with the fresh fish, and Sam felt proud of his successful day. From that day on, whenever Sam went fishing, he remembered the lesson he learned about the small fish. He knew that sometimes, letting go was just as important as holding on. This lesson made him a wiser and more thoughtful fisherman. Sam continued to fish, always respecting the sea and its creatures, big and small. He enjoyed his life by the water, grateful for what the sea provided, and always mindful of the balance of nature. This experience taught Mr. Allen a valuable lesson about acceptance and understanding. He learned that what's bred in the bone will stick to the flesh, meaning that natural traits inherent to a person cannot be changed and should be respected, not altered. This lesson not only changed how he treated Tom, but also how he viewed everyone around him, promoting a sense of acceptance and kindness in the village. Number 93. The Tale of the Huntsman and the Fisherman. In a small village nestled between the woods and a sparkling lake, lived a huntsman and a fisherman. Both were good at their trades and often admired each other's skills and catches. One sunny afternoon, as the huntsman was returning from a successful hunt with his dogs, he met the fisherman on the path. The fisherman was carrying a basket overflowing with fresh fish, shimmering in the sunlight. Seeing the bounty of fish, the huntsman felt a strong desire to taste the fresh catch of the day. Similarly, the fisherman looked longingly at the huntsman's game bag, filled with wild game from the forest. Both men knew each other well and respected each other's work. Without much hesitation, the huntsman proposed, "Why don't we trade? I would love to have some of your fish, and in return, you can enjoy some of the game I've caught today." The fisherman readily agreed, thinking it was a fair and delightful change. They exchanged their catches, both pleased with the new flavors they would enjoy that night. The swap was so successful and satisfying that they decided to make the same exchange the next day. And so, day after day, the huntsman and the fisherman met on the same path and traded their catches. This arrangement brought them great joy and variety in their daily meals. However, as the days turned into weeks, a neighbor who observed their daily trades offered them a piece of advice. "You both seem to enjoy the fruits of each other's labor," he said. "But if you continue this way, swapping your catches every day, you might start to lose the joy and specialness of the exchange. The pleasure of enjoying something different will fade if it becomes too routine." The neighbor continued, "It's like having your favorite meal every single day. Soon enough, it doesn't taste as special anymore." The huntsman and the fisherman listened carefully to the neighbor's words. They realized that their excitement for the exchange had already begun to lessen a bit. They appreciated the wisdom in the advice and decided to make their swaps less frequent to keep the joy and appreciation alive. From then on, they agreed to exchange their catches only once a week. This change made each trade more anticipated and enjoyable. Every exchange felt special again, and both the huntsman and the fisherman savored the weekly variety in their meals. By limiting their exchanges, the huntsman and the fisherman learned to appreciate both the fruits of their own labor and the pleasure of occasionally enjoying each other's. They understood that sometimes less is more, and that abstaining from something can indeed make it more enjoyable when it is experienced. This story of the huntsman and the fisherman serves as a gentle reminder that moderation can enhance enjoyment, and that sometimes taking a step back helps maintain the value and delight in life's simple pleasures. Number 94. The Old Woman and the Empty Wine Jar. In a small village lived an old woman who loved the simple pleasures of life. One sunny afternoon, while she was cleaning her attic, she stumbled upon an old wine jar tucked away in a corner. The jar was dusty and had been forgotten for many years. Curious, the old woman wiped the dust off the jar and examined it. She remembered that this jar had once held a very special kind of wine, known for its exquisite taste and rich aroma. Excited, the old woman brought the jar closer and sniffed it. To her delight, the jar still held the faint, sweet smell of the prime old wine it once contained. Over and over, she brought the jar to her nose, each time inhaling deeply, savoring the lingering scent of the wine. "Oh, how delicious this smells!" she exclaimed joyfully. "If just the smell is this wonderful, I can only imagine how delightful the wine itself must have been." The old woman continued to smell the jar, each whiff bringing her a sense of joy and nostalgia. She remembered the times when she had shared the wine with friends and family, during gatherings filled with laughter and warm conversations. Although the wine was long gone, the memories of those happy moments were still alive, brought back vividly by the scent remaining in the jar. Realizing the power of such memories, the old woman placed the wine jar in a special spot in her living room, where she could see it every day. Whenever she felt lonely or a bit sad, she would walk over to the jar, take a gentle sniff, and smile as the beautiful memories filled her heart again. This simple wine jar, with its lingering fragrance, became a treasure for the old woman, a reminder of good times and the joy they brought into her life. It taught her an important lesson. Even when something is gone, it can leave behind a sweetness that lasts forever, much like the fragrance in the jar. The old woman often shared this story with her grandchildren, telling them how important it is to create good memories. "Just like this jar," she would say, "the things we do for each other, the kindness we share, and the good times we have, all leave a mark. They might seem to fade over time, but they leave behind a fragrance that can bring happiness and comfort for many years." Her grandchildren listened intently, learning from their grandmother that the memory of a good deed, like the sweet smell of wine in an old jar, never really fades away. They learned to appreciate not only the moments they were living, but also to create memories that would be savored for a lifetime. The old woman and her wine jar became a well-known story in the village, a beautiful example of how the essence of joyful moments and good deeds can linger long after they are gone, much like the enchanting aroma in an empty wine jar. Number 95. The Clever Fox and the Naive Crow. Once upon a time, in a dense forest filled with the chirping of birds and rustling of leaves, there lived a crow. One sunny day, the crow found a piece of meat on the ground. She was very pleased with her find, and flew up to a high branch to enjoy it safely away from other animals. As the crow was about to eat, a fox passed by underneath the tree. The fox, always on the lookout for a meal, noticed the crow and the meat in her beak. A plan quickly formed in his mind to get the meat from the crow. The fox sat under the tree and looked up at the crow with admiration. He called out to her in a voice sweet as honey, "Oh, what a beautiful bird you are! Surely the colors of your feathers are the finest in the forest, and your eyes as bright as the stars in the sky." The crow listened and felt flattered by the compliments. Her heart swelled with pride, but she did not respond, keeping a tight hold on her meat. "Not giving up," the fox continued. "But I must say, dear crow, as splendid as your feathers are and as shiny as your eyes be, I have heard from the other birds that your voice is not as delightful. Surely they must be wrong. If you could only sing for me, I believe you would prove them all wrong, and then you would truly be recognized as the queen of all birds." The crow was now very curious and even more flattered. She thought about the fox's words and wondered if she really could be the queen of birds. The idea of being admired for her voice, as well as her looks, was too tempting. Finally, the crow decided to show the fox that she could sing beautifully. She took a deep breath, ready to prove him wrong and show her magnificent voice. But the moment she opened her beak to caw, the piece of meat fell from her mouth and tumbled down through the branches. Quick as a flash, the fox caught the meat before it hit the ground. With a sly grin, he said, "Thank you, dear crow. Your voice is good, but it seems your wisdom is not quite as sharp." The fox trotted off with the meat, leaving the crow embarrassed and hungry on the branch. She had learned a hard lesson about vanity and not being swayed by flattery. From that day on, the crow promised herself not to be fooled by sweet words at the cost of her wisdom. She became more cautious, and whenever the fox tried to trick her again with his clever words, she would simply nod and keep her beak firmly shut. This tale of the fox and the crow reminds us all that sometimes flattery is used not to praise, but to deceive. We must always think carefully before reacting, ensuring our actions are based on wisdom, rather than emotions stirred by others' words.